Hello everyone, time for your Week 8 overview for Humanities 103. And as you can see by that picture right there, we are still working on flood myths. Here's your course schedule. It looks pretty typical, although you will see that there are two things that are due at the end of the week that are brand new. One of them will be the midterm quiz, and one of them your novel analysis progress report. And I'll tell you about those in just a minute. The first two readings this week are scholarly papers that have to do with similarities among many of the flood myths around the world. The very first one is interesting because it looks at the oral tales or myths of ancient cultures as a way of determining how they adapted to floods. And the takeaway then is, is there any useful information that we can gather about how we might respond to increased flooding or rising sea levels by looking at that mythology regarding floods from the past? The second one, structural parallels in two flood myths, look at the similarities between the Genesis account of the flood, or Noah's Ark, and a Maori flood myth. Now, the Maori are the indigenous people from New Zealand. The next are two sources that look at the Epic of Gilgamesh. Now, the reason we want to look at this particular reading is because of the absolute eerie similarities between the flood story in the Epic of Gilgamesh and what we typically think of as the Noah's Ark story. The only thing is, the Epic of Gilgamesh was written approximately 1,000 years before the Genesis version of the flood. So there's all kinds of interesting ideas and theories around that. And really, if you go back to some of our very first readings at the beginning of the semester, where we talked about the problem of similarities, there's good information on there about why that might be so. So the first one there, the Epic of Gilgamesh, is a video that gives you a good overview of the entire piece of, well, we'll call it writing. It was put on cuneiform tablets. And then the second one is actually looking at the text of the Epic of Gilgamesh. So what I've done is I have a link there to what's called Tablet 11, or it'd be like Chapter 11 of the Epic of Gilgamesh, the story of the flood. And so as you read that, I want you to be thinking about things you see in there that sound like they're very similar or even identical to the Genesis version of the flood. Now, even if it wasn't a story that you heard as a child, or I think most of us have some passing, knowledge of what that story entails. And if you really don't know, well, then reading that earlier paper about the similarities between the Genesis version of the flood and the Maori version, well, that will give you all the background you need in order to really make a good comparison between these two particular stories. So that's sort of our theme this week, is what are these similar elements in some of these very, very well-known flood stories? This week you have a midterm quiz because it's midterms. It is consisting of 16 questions. They're all short answer, fill in the blank, true, false, multiple choice, no essay questions. You have 3 hours to complete it online, and in my experience, I don't think a single previous student has ever taken all 3 hours. It's usually completed within, I would say, an hour to an hour and a half at the most. But I want to give you plenty of time because you actually can go back and access all of the readings and the videos from this course while you take the test. So it will cover all of the information that we have looked at or read so far. Please do not access any sources outside of the course sources, so no looking up answers. You can log on to the quiz. You can open it up starting midnight on Wednesday the 2nd, and it will stay open all the way until Sunday the 6th, same time, the middle of the night. But once you start, you need to finish. You can't dip in and out of it, all right? So once you open it up, the clock starts ticking. You have 3 hours to complete the entire quiz. The other thing you have due this week is your novel analysis progress report. This is letting me know, first of all, what book you've chosen to read. And if at this point you have any problems or questions about the book itself, about the assignment, remember that you can use all of those critical theories that we talked about at the very beginning of the semester. But we're also going to be still reading some yet to come. So don't get worried or stressed if you start reading your book and you think, I have no idea what to use to do my analysis. By the time it comes to actually write your paper, which will be at the end of this semester, you will have everything you need to do a really good analysis. Okay, but the first part, of course, is to get the book and start reading it. So that's what I'd like you to do. Just fill out that very short progress report and post it for me. So this week, chat office hours will be on Monday. That's the 28th. And this time it will be between 2 and 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So if that time works a little better for you than what we have been doing up until now, then hopefully you can avail yourselves of office hours. Remember, you can also contact me via the Canvas inbox or post a question to the Ask the Instructor discussion forum. Okay, well, that ought to keep you busy for the week. And let me know if you have any questions about either the midterm quiz or the progress report or anything else. Okay, I'll talk to you later.